Hey guys, this is James.
And this is Denny from TeaDB, bringing you guys episode 244.
Yeah, you guys, we should just point to the number and you guys can figure it out for yourselves.
Well, you're more accurate that
yeah,
way.
it definitely would be more accurate that way.
So we're continuing a series on some aged, sort of aged in different humidity conditions. Pu'erh.
Yes, we are.
So what we got today?
Yeah, so we have some 20-year-old dry store from Varat, who has been a Pu'erh collector for a while. He's over in, I believe, Bangkok, Thailand. So big thank you to Varat for sending us this.
Yep.
And this tea stood out because it is the one tea that he did not mark as some form of wet storage. This is actually dry stored. And you can see from this material, this actually did not come from a cake. It's loose. So it's been aged in one of those clay vessels or something or other.
Yeah.
Dry stored tea, very rare from this time period. So thank you to Varat for sharing it. And I think perhaps one of the reasons why it's still, I presume, affordable is because it is loose. So it doesn't have as much of that collection aspect to it as something with a stamp and a pretty wrapper would.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, this is going to be really fun to experience and try because for folks out there who don't know about storage, wow. Really, really smoky, peaty whiskey vibes. This is going to be, in essence, biologically younger than these higher humidity stored Pu'erhs. And so it'll be an interesting experience to taste this tea and compare it to our last episode 243. Check it out.
Yep.
Where we drank a mildly wet stored 20-year-old tea.
Which is different from a medium wet or light wet tea, which were Varat's classifications. So
this is
going to be a different animal.
This is definitely smelling like a different animal. It's got that stank, not as strong, but it still smells powerful.
Yeah,
would be one way of putting it. Maybe more powerful, more intense flavors. Which, because again of the biological aging, which will increase the balance of the tea, we're going to expect this to be potentially a little bit younger tasting. Because it's going to be a little bit younger biologically. So it might not be as balanced. It smells intense. Interesting flavors. It doesn't look like quite nearly as viscous as our previous tea either.
Yeah, and we'll see how the tea develops. I mean, like, I can smell it from here, and it smells different. It doesn't have that sort of basement funk from the other teas. So,
but it smells strong.
Mm-hmm. And one mistake
all these oils, dude.
I know.
Yeah.
One mistake I see people make occasionally is just assuming that all tea that's 20 years old is sort of like the last tea we brought on.
Right.
When, in fact, it's a product of both the time and the storage. And so I think this can help to illustrate it. And there's just not that many examples of this out there. So, excited to bring this on the show and share with you guys.
Let's give it a shot.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. Ooh, this feels hot. My girlfriend's mom watched one episode of TeaDB and just like would laughingly pause at like the faces that I would make. I would be like,
should we just get this all out of the way right now?
What? So this is I was just making some faces. This has some really intense flavor. It's got like a really, really strong streak of sweetness though. Actually, I'm surprised in that part. And like it's surprisingly light. It doesn't taste nearly as strong as it smells.
Right, and we expect it to maybe get a little bit stronger during these initial brews.
Like smells so intense.
Smells like a freaking barbecue.
Yeah, man. Yes. A barbecue with like a little, like that cinnamon stick, like almost bitter cinnamon.
A Kansas barbecue. I think that's what. I have no idea what I'm talking
I know what
about.
that means.
Yeah.
I know about barbecue. So it's still light for steeping, but
pretty sweet.
But sweet.
Yeah, sweet in a different way. Sweet. It's a lot more active, I'd say, than the previous tea. A lot more stuff, juices, sort of hanging out in the palate.
Yeah.
Maybe a little astringent.
Mm-hmm. I definitely have that. So this tastes more like a raw to me at this point. Whereas last episode we had a 20-year-old tea that was a raw Pu'erh, but it had aged so much that it kind of blended towards that sort of middle of the road raw ripe aged flavor.
Right.
This still has a little bit of that raw green intensity.
Strong, yeah.
Yeah.
And same age though. So
yeah.
I mean,
This is why it's so cool and why we're so lucky to do the show and have so many folks contribute. Thank you to everyone who has sent tea in to listen to two goofballs talk about it. Can't thank you guys enough for it. Seriously. What a treat. This is surprisingly different, you know? It's like you kind of would be like expecting to sort of have to try to explain how they're really different when in reality they taste pretty similar, but these really do taste quite different.
It's very obvious.
Yeah.
I think even if you didn't have them back to back like we're having now,
Yeah.
I think it's very clear.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
A little bit thinner, less funky. Definitely a lot of wood in this one. I feel like it's more like pine wood rather than sort of like those, I don't know, richer, darker woods.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like the last tea had more of that sort of fermented, leafy, decomposing, barky flavor, and this has more of that sort of, greener, younger, piney, more herbal almost tasting. This
I like that, yeah.
Tastes a little bit more medicinal to me, too.
Yeah.
So I know we're kind of fresh into the tea, but mom test, what do you think?
I say no. No for A, because it's foreign, B, because it's still got some bitter, astringent smokiness to it.
Yeah, definitely. This definitely has a lingering bitterness in the mouth. Nice strong flavor. Really something that you can drink, sit and soak in, meditate on, experience it, and take your time into the next steeping. We do the show, so we kind of blitzkrieg through these steepings, but this is another tea that is going to, I would assume, last a lot of steepings.
Right. You know, I think this brewing out slightly faster than last tea, partly because it's loose material and stuff like that, so less to break through. So we're getting to the real heart of the tea quicker, I'd say, but it definitely has a lot of juice to offer.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, this has a very, it's not a drying, but there's a lot of texture, a lot of mouthfeel, a lot of liveliness, sort of physicality. Not really experiencing this tea or the last tea sort of in the deeper flavor palette. We'll often talk about tasting the tea like deep in your chest and those sort of characteristics. And this is a very lively tea on the tongue and the mouth.
But not necessarily like a deep body feel.
Yeah. And potent. I'm still very much sitting here soaking up the flavors.
Yeah, and this would be, Denny talked a little bit about like a wake you up coffee experience. This would wake you up, I think, in the morning.
Amen. Absolutely.
And you smell the difference between these two.
Yeah, well, and look at the aging too. I mean, you can just look at the leaves and you see some green in here, whereas these are really just much darker. You know, it's really just a qualitative difference in the colors.
Yeah. The dry leaf, the wet leaf rather, tells quite a big difference in how these teas were stored. Looking at the dry leaf over here too, is there a color difference?
It's a little hard to tell.
Yeah.
I think my mind is sort of already primed to see that difference, so I'm probably biased. But it's very apparent in the cup. It's very apparent once it's brewed out in the pot as well.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I mean, I think those things become more obvious, I think, as you brew it out and you dump out the leaves and stuff.
And again, I don't think anyone needs to be like a tea aficionado to understand, wow, these two teas really taste differently.
Yeah. It really is night and day. It's not like it's like, oh, there's slight differences between these and you require a master palate. No, there are pretty obvious differences between these two, and I think just about anyone that isn't like super stuffed up or anything would tell the difference.
It's a really juicy tea. It's got a nice starting sweetness, and then it has that sort of that really raw, bitter finish. To agree completely, this would not pass the mom test. These flavors are just not normal enough that, and so I think you'd have to be kind of a little bit of a adventurous foodie type to find these flavors enjoyable. They're not the most straightforwardly palatable flavors, but very interesting, and I think this tea feels a little bit more dynamic to me from the two things that we've had so far.
I agree. Yeah,
it is a little bit early on.
Yeah,
you can still see the oils too. I mean, this is
steep number 4.
Nadrovia.
Word.
It's freaking delicious, man. That's really good. It's got a, of all the flavors that I'm tasting on this, I think more than even the woodiness of it now, it really has that potent elixir medicinal vibe going on.
Yeah, a little bit of those cocoa, definitely a fair streak of bitterness continuing to run through this tea. That was definitely not in the previous tea. It's none of that sort of like rich, earthy creaminess to it or anything like that.
Yeah, really attention demanding tea. This isn't something that you can just ignore and drink casually. It's gonna makes you pay attention to it.
It's not subtle either, so like it will make you pay attention.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think this tea has as much balance as the more humidly stored tea that we had last episode. There's a little bit more of a accented sweetness, accented bitterness. It doesn't sort of just kind of flow it together as well, which is okay. I think this tea, unlike the last tea, could maybe benefit from some more aging. Whereas the last tea, for my limited experience doing this thing over a bajillion episodes of TeaDB, I thought that last tea was just perfectly ready to drink. And this tea is good now, for sure. It's interesting, I think, more than delicious, potentially. And I think this tea is going to evolve and become even more balanced and delicious.
Yeah, I agree. I think if I was forced to drink one of these teas like every day of the month or something, I would definitely choose the wetter tea. But this tea, I think, is the more unique one in the sense that it's dry stored. It has a lot to offer. And I think it shows the characteristics of that dry storage pretty obviously.
Yeah. And these, how much were in these samples? Do you know?
It was 20 grams originally. 20? Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So 2 at least 3, depending on the vessel, 4 depending on the vessel, solid steepings. Sessions rather. 2 to 4
out of each one. Yeah. About that.
Yeah, and I think one of the cool things again when we talked about it last episode is drinking these side by side. We take a week to release episodes, but we're drinking them side by side right now, and it brings a whole nother layer of interesting and complexity to the tea drinking experience. So let's keep doing it.
Cheers.
Salute.
You know what? Why don't we do a steep of this just for comparison's sake?
Sure, why not? I think this has a really wonderful residual sweetness. This tea is loud. It's bold. It's more dynamic, but it's not like it's not the most dynamic tea that I've had.
I feel like that smokiness in it has slowly dissipated from the tea, and it's not nearly as upfront about it as it was maybe earlier in the session.
I think, yeah, this notably has like a lot more mouthfeel, slightly drying, which like it's not a taste profile, but it's a characteristic of raw Pu'erh that you get so used to the feeling of your mouth walls change, and I think the previous tea didn't have it. Wow, look at the color difference too. Yeah. So much redder.
And this tea, unlike the previous tea, you would never get mixed up with the red Pu'erh.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Even though it's dark and brews, darkish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And
all right. Whew, I'm feeling it. I'm like a horse ready to run. All right, cheers. One thing I'll say for this tea, though, is that it really has maintained the sweetness throughout.
Yeah, you can tell it's a good tea because even through those rougher flavors and stuff, the stuff that takes over your mouth in the long run is sweetness. So it's like you drink it, there's some bitterness, there's some smokiness, but it sort of lingers sweetly.
Absolutely, yeah. This tea is extended far beyond the experience of just sipping on it. You really sit there, in my case at least, I'm sitting here really just continuing to taste it and enjoy it.
Yep.
Watering mouth too. And look at the difference in color. So the tea we're drinking right now, the dry stored tea, it's really orange, slightly maybe yellow, and the sort of those deeper teas, the deeper colors maybe associated with a longer biological aging, those deep reds or browns, and we're seeing it here.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give this a sniff.
Yeah, and the smell is also very obvious.
Yeah.
Smell, color of the leaves, even the color of the liqueur.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it. It's going to be interesting.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
So much smoother.
Yeah, so much lighter, more subtle. Yeah, this tea, I think that we did the order correctly as well, because the previous tea is just so loud that this tea, the flavor profile, is almost getting drowned out. Yeah, so much more buttery, velvety, It's like if this was a jeans fabric.
Okay.
Follow me here. It's like I just wait all week to just pull out the craziest analogies. This would sort of be like suede, whereas this would be like hang dried jeans that need to be kind of thrown in the dryer to soften up a little bit.
There you go. Yeah. So don't
take that home with
please you. Don't buy this tea and throw it in the dryer to soften up a little bit. That would be a bad idea. That would be bad advice. But
good lord, I'm also feeling the tea is super hard right now. Yum. I'm a happy camper. Post in the comments below. Was that the craziest thing I've said on TeaDB? I think the answer is probably not.
I think the answer is definitely not. I was thinking it's been a while since you pulled out like the good old pencil shavings or something like that in TeaDB. I don't know. I mean, I think it's time for you to re-up yourselves your younger selves and pull out some crazy analogy.
Yeah. I'm going to go to my Mad Wizard Castle Tower and just think up some super crazy shit.
Next time at TeaDB.
So this has been really fun, James, to drink these two side by side, both in extended sessions and then just back to back like this as well. If folks wanted to do the same at home, is there a straightforward, easy way for them to do so?
Yeah, so Varat is selling samplers of these teas. There's 4 different teas, so there's 2 we did not bring on, but those are also worth trying for sure. I think they sell for $120 or something for 20 grams each of 4 teas. So they're all 20 years old, so it's you're paying partly for the age, and I think it's a worthwhile experience for anyone that's interested in trying sort of the age, and you can really taste the differences of these teas and learn a lot about storage from just these things. And like Denny and I talked about, it's not necessarily terribly subtle.
Absolutely. Yeah, this might be expert mode for some folks out there. The price point's a little high potentially to get in here. At the same time, if you are super into it, this is a really cool way to get an interesting sort of breadth of flavor profiles based on the humidity source. And like James just said, it's obvious. I mean, it's really abundantly clear how these flavors differ.
You'll drink it and you'll say, oh, okay, I know the difference between dry storage and wetter storage or traditionally stored.
Absolutely.
So anyways, that's a bit of a tangent. So please check out Varat. Google him, the guide to Pu'erh tea. He's on a Blogspot blog. And you guys can check us out. We are releasing weekly videos. Hit that subscribe button somewhere. It's red. Don't hit the unsubscribe button. Check us out at TeaDB.org. And thank you again to Varat. And we will see you guys with some new tea next time.
Cheers.